Nearly a year ago, I found myself at the lowest point I had ever reached. My first year as an independent entrepreneur was coming to an end, and I was buried under an overwhelming pile of exhaustion and mounting debt. Sleepless nights and scattered work habits had drained every last bit of my energy. I became obsessed with every new productivity trend, desperate to find the secret that would fix everything. Day by day, frustration festered. Week by week, resentment grew. Eventually, my body and mind surrendered, and I collapsed into a full-blown burnout. Isn't it strange how life works? We often sprint after ambitions we think will fulfill us, only to realize midway that we're abandoning what our hearts genuinely need, sacrificing peace for prizes we don't even truly want. At first, we deny this inner conflict. We push harder because that's what society champions. Winners never quit. Soon after, we spiral into optimization mode, fine-tuning every tiny aspect of our existence. How can I be more efficient? How can I hack my mornings? Before long, bitterness takes root. We wake up to the reality that we are living a life engineered by others' expectations. And in the process, we've neglected our own emotional well-being so much that we can barely recognize ourselves. The words hustle and hack have been glamorized by countless motivational speakers and self-help gurus, warping our minds and dulling our intuition. We've become addicts, constantly searching for shortcuts to happiness, success, and fulfillment, not realizing that no shortcut exists. Real success, real peace demands commitment, effort, and time. But here's the tragedy. We've transformed into relentless machines, productivity junkies, barely stopping to ask the most crucial question of all. Is this truly what I want? Thankfully, I did. As the last year came to a close, I realized that mindless productivity was leaving me empty. Fulfillment, I discovered, comes not from how fast you move, but from moving in the direction that aligns with your soul. I made a decision. I erased hustle and hacks from my vocabulary. I replaced them with two new values: slow living and mindful consistency. Today, months later, I stand in a far better place. But just the other day, I stumbled across a post that jolted me back into remembering how toxic hustle culture still is. The post was a snapshot from a founder's LinkedIn feed, listing an absurd ideal daily self-care regimen. At the end, it asked, "In a perfect world, what would you add?" Honestly, in a perfect world, such a list wouldn't even exist, because we aren't robots. We're human beings, and our energy, like water down a drain, is finite and precious. There's no virtue in doing 2 workouts a day. Reading a book a week isn't a medal-worthy achievement. Knowing your 5-year plan isn't a requirement for a meaningful life. Ironically, the post claimed to promote self-care, but what it actually described sounded more like a blueprint for self-destruction. This is the side effect of hustle culture. A society obsessed with speed, metrics, and more, yet barren of reflection, compassion, and authenticity. If you're looking for a better way, consider this. Slow down. Choose work that feels meaningful. Build steadily with awareness and patience. Craft a personal self-care plan, not one prescribed by trends, and measure your growth against your past self, not someone else's highlight reel. Isn't that a far more beautiful way to live? Slow living isn't about doing less. It's about living with more presence. It's the choice to savor rather than rush, to find fulfillment in consistency rather than in frenzy. It's about aligning your daily actions with a long-term vision, not sprinting through life without knowing why. Slow living shifts the goalposts, away from speed toward significance, away from quantity toward quality. It sharpens your focus, it brings stillness to a frantic mind, and it nurtures emotional resilience. Pico Iyer once wrote, "In an age of acceleration, nothing can be more exhilarating than going slow. In an age of distraction, nothing is so luxurious as paying attention." So what if, starting today, you slowed down? What if you built your self-care around what you need, not what culture tells you you should need? What if you dropped the side hustle narrative and instead pursued passion projects at your natural pace? What if, instead of chasing endless hacks, you simply cultivated deeper self-awareness? As Sheryl Sandberg said, "We cannot change what we are not aware of, and once we are aware, we cannot help but change." This past year, I prioritized self-awareness over self-improvement. I stripped away layers of external noise and focused on how I wanted to live. I dismantled the false promises of hustle culture, and in doing so, I found peace. Here's the surprising twist. Once I embraced slow living, I actually became far more productive, happier too. I intentionally downsized my business to match my lifestyle needs. I built a writing routine that suited me, not some internet guru's checklist, and ended up publishing over 100 articles in just 8 months. I prioritized the essentials: health, connection with friends and family, creative work that fed my soul. I created a life that reflected what I value most. The 13th century poet Rumi once advised, "Let the beauty of what you love be what you do." When love became the driving force behind my work, not hustle, not fear, not hacks, everything changed. Life became simple again, clear again, joyful again. And you can do the same. You owe it to yourself. If you're ready to ditch hustle culture for something better, here's where you can start. 1. Craft a simple morning ritual. Confucius taught that daily rituals anchor us in self-discipline and inner harmony. A thoughtful morning routine is your first step into a meaningful day. It doesn't need to be complicated. Begin your day without devices for 30 minutes. Journal or meditate to connect with yourself. Stretch and hydrate to awaken your body gently. You don't need heroic routines, you just need small acts of self-respect. As Marcus Aurelius said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." 2. Prioritize what truly matters. Slow living isn't laziness, it's disciplined focus. It draws on the wisdom of Cal Newport's deep work and Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's concept of flow, that the best moments of our lives happen when we challenge ourselves meaningfully. Spend less energy on distractions, create an environment that nurtures focus, manage your energy before your time. Prioritize one major task each day while your mind is at its sharpest. Monotask. Give full attention to one thing at a time. Remember, doing more doesn't matter. Doing what matters does. 3. Build slowly, brick by brick. Good things take time. Writing a book, starting a business, creating art, none of these things happen overnight. I committed to writing 4 days a week, publishing twice weekly. I wasn't chasing virality. I was simply creating, with care, with patience, with love. Consistency, not speed, is what builds lasting work. Don't rush, enjoy the process. Tend to your craft like a garden, day by steady day. Confucius once said, "Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated." Slow living brings us back to that simplicity. It prioritizes mindfulness over mindlessness, health over hustle, meaning over metrics. Start with a small morning ritual. Focus only on what truly matters. Commit to steady, stable growth. Less rush, more rhythm. Less searching, more reflection. Less striving, more living. As Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." Stop chasing hustle. Start embracing life.